I remember the first time I met him. His name was Jordan. Tall, stylish, confident in a way that was hard to ignore, but not in a threatening way. He was magnetic, the kind of person who filled up a room effortlessly. And my wife, Paige, adored him. "This is my gay best friend," she declared with a bright laugh one night at a gallery opening. She slung an arm around him like they'd been friends since childhood, though I'd never heard of him before. "Isn't he fabulous?" I shook his hand. Firm grip. Easy smile. Nothing in his demeanor gave me reason to worry, and maybe that's the part that gets under my skin the most now. How easy it was to trust him. To trust her. They texted constantly. Shared memes. Went out for drinks when I was working late. Sometimes she'd fall asleep on the couch with her phone in her hand, and I'd see his name on the screen, messages that looked harmless enough. Jealous much? She teased once when I asked her, half joking, half not, why she always seemed to have more fun with him than me. She laughed. Actually laughed, like the idea of me being suspicious was so ridiculous it didn't even deserve an answer. "He's gay, babe," she said, rolling her eyes. "Like Rainbow Flag and RuPaul gay. You have nothing to worry about." I laughed with her, but something about that night lodged itself deep inside me. A hesitation, a sliver of doubt I didn't know what to do with. A week later, we had dinner at home. Just the two of us. I made her favorite, lemon butter salmon, and poured a bottle of Chardonnay we'd been saving. She smiled, toasted to normal nights, and leaned over the table to kiss me. For a moment, I believed it. That everything was okay. That I was just being paranoid, or insecure, or whatever word she would use if I brought it up again. But then came the little things. A hotel shampoo bottle in her gym bag. Her suddenly wearing perfume to the office again. An Uber receipt from a part of town she said she didn't go near. A stray hair on her scarf. Short, fine blonde. Not mine. And definitely not hers. Still, I said nothing. What do you even say? When it's your wife? When every doubt makes you feel more like a cliché. When she's already dismissed your one moment of vulnerability with a laugh. Then came the credit card bill. It showed up in my email late one night when I was trying to sort out our expenses. We share one card for household stuff, groceries, gas, occasional splurges. Nothing ever out of the ordinary. Until that line item. Hotel Larimore, for $198.20. The name jumped out at me. It's not just a hotel. It's our hotel. The one we stayed at after we got engaged. The one with the big windows and the clawfoot tub and the corner room with a view of the river. The charge was from 3 nights ago. A Thursday. She told me she was working late. Some corporate event she couldn't skip. I stared at it for a long time, longer than I should have. My hand hovering over the trackpad. I didn't call her. I didn't scream. I just stared. The next morning, I left for work without saying much. She kissed me on the cheek and said something about needing to go to brunch with a friend. I nodded, told her to enjoy herself. Then I drove to the hotel. The concierge remembered her. Of course he did. She's hard to forget. "I'm just checking on a booking from earlier this week," I said, as casually as I could. My wife and I sometimes use different names for privacy. I smiled like it was a joke, like we were one of those couples. He typed something into the computer. Yes, Paige Reynolds checked in Thursday night. She stayed in one of our deluxe suites. Was anyone else with her? A pause, then a polite smile. "I'm afraid I can't disclose guest information, sir." I nodded. "Of course. Just checking." I walked out of there with my stomach twisted into knots. The kind you get when the truth is no longer hiding. It's just waiting for you to stop pretending. That night, I didn't say anything. She made pasta, poured wine, played music in the kitchen. It felt like a movie scene where one character already knows the ending but is pretending, just for one last act, to believe in the happy story. I watched her stir the sauce. Watched her laugh at some video Jordan had sent her. She called him her soulmate. Said it with this airy lightness like she believed it, like I was just a part of the scenery. "Do you ever think about what we'd do if we didn't have jobs?" she asked, eyes dancing. "Like, just drop everything and travel?" "Jordan says Bali is amazing this time of year." I asked her, carefully, "Do you talk to him every day?" She nodded, smiling. "Basically. He gets me, you know?" And there it was again. That laugh. Not cruel. Not mocking. Just dismissive. Like my jealousy was an adorable quirk she could pat on the head and move past. "You know he's gay, right?" she said again, like a spell she thought still worked. And I said nothing. Because she was right. I didn't know what she told me. But what I felt was something different. Something growing. I didn't check her phone. I didn't confront her. I didn't throw accusations into the space between us. Instead, I waited. Because the truth doesn't always need to be dragged into the light. Sometimes, it hands you a hotel receipt with your own name on the bill. And when it does, you don't scream. You watch. You listen. And you wait for the story to finish writing itself. The funny thing is, when trust breaks, it doesn't shatter like glass. It cracks, slowly. Almost beautifully. You don't hear the smash right away. You hear the creaking. The pressure building. The faint pop when the first fissure splits the surface. That's what the next few weeks felt like. She was normal. Too normal. Waking up early. Making coffee. Texting him, I assumed, when she turned away to answer messages while we sat in the quiet morning. She'd laugh into her phone and then tuck it away when I looked over. I asked once, "What's so funny?" "Just Jordan," she said, barely glancing up. "You wouldn't get it." Inside joke. Another crack. I wasn't playing dumb anymore. I was just watching. Quietly mapping patterns, listening to tone changes, noticing how her stories never quite lined up. She said she had a company retreat in Palm Springs, 2 days. All women. I said nothing. Then she came back sunburnt in strange places, with a new necklace she didn't explain. I said nothing again. The hotel charge still sat in our joint statement, untouched. I waited to see if she'd mention it. She didn't. So I called the credit card company and asked for the itemized receipt. It came 2 days later in the mail, one of those long, thin envelopes you always think is a bill until it isn't. I opened it slowly at the kitchen table while she was in the shower. And there it was, her signature on the guest form. And under additional guest, in small, neat writing, Jordan Ellis. 2 bathrobes. 1 bottle of champagne. Late checkout. Breakfast for 2. I set the paper down and just stared at it. The steam from her shower fogged up the bathroom mirror across the hallway. She was humming something off-key, carefree, rinsing off in the water, while I sat on a truth so heavy I could feel it pressing into my lungs. He wasn't supposed to be a he. Not in that way. Not in this way. I wasn't angry yet. I was something quieter than that. Something slower. That night, I sat beside her on the couch. We were watching something mindless, some show she loved where beautiful people fought over roses and drama. I couldn't focus. Her legs were curled up beside mine. Her head tilted against my shoulder. I asked, "Can I ask you something?" She looked up. "Sure. Has Jordan ever been with women?" She laughed. That same laugh. The same one she gave when I first said I was jealous. "No," she said, shaking her head. "God, no. He's as gay as it gets." I nodded. She kissed my cheek, maybe out of guilt, maybe habit. "Why do you ask?" "No reason," I said. That night, after she fell asleep, I logged into her email. I know it was a line I shouldn't have crossed. I wrestled with it for days. But curiosity had long since turned into suspicion, and suspicion, unanswered, becomes its own kind of betrayal. She hadn't changed her password in years. The first folder I checked was starred. There were messages from Jordan. Lots of them. One, from the night of the hotel stay. "Still thinking about your skin in that bathtub. Your trouble, you know that?" My chest went cold. I stared at the words until they blurred. Another message, weeks later. "We have to be more careful. He's starting to suspect, and I don't want to lose you." That one made my throat tighten. There were photos, too. Nothing graphic, but intimate. A shot of her curled up in a hotel robe. One of their hands intertwined, resting on white sheets. Her caption, "My safe space." I didn't cry. I thought I might, but I didn't. I just sat there in the dark, laptop glowing like a spotlight on the last 6 months of my life. Every conversation, every touch, every deflection from her suddenly made sense. She hadn't lied once, not technically. He was her best friend. He was gay. At least he said he was. But the thing I didn't see coming? She didn't just cheat with someone. She cheated with someone she convinced me was impossible. That was the twist of the knife. The sheer audacity of it. I closed the laptop and walked outside. The air was cold. September was rolling in early that year, and the wind carried the first bite of autumn. I stood there barefoot on the porch, looking up at a sky I couldn't understand. I didn't leave her that night. I went back inside, slid into bed beside her, listened to the soft rhythm of her breathing, and stared at the ceiling. Because this wasn't the ending. Not yet. The receipt was truth. The emails were proof. But the part of me that still loved her, that still wanted an answer, even if it broke me, needed more. I needed to hear it from her. And she was going to give me that, one way or another. It happened on a Sunday. Quiet. Rain tapping against the windows like it was warning us to brace for something. She was curled up on the sofa, blanket draped around her legs, flipping through a design magazine she never read, just held for the aesthetic. I'd made coffee for both of us. Set it gently on the table. Sat across from her. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I was still. She looked up at me. You okay? I nodded. Can I ask you something real this time? She smiled. Okay. Sounds serious. It is. She shifted, giving me her full attention, and I think, now, I'll always remember that moment. The calm before truth shatters everything. I reached behind me, grabbed the envelope. The one I'd been keeping in the drawer for days. The hotel receipt. Her signature. Jordan's name. I slid it across to her. She stared at it. Didn't move. Didn't blink. I spoke gently. Paige, did you sleep with him? She opened her mouth like she wanted to lie. Like she was already halfway into a joke about it. But she didn't laugh this time. She didn't say he's gay. Instead, she closed her eyes. Then said, yes. Just one word. And with it, the weight of 100 moments that I now had permission to feel. I didn't speak. I just let it settle. I needed her to sit in it, even just for a minute. She reached out, maybe to touch my hand, maybe out of instinct. I pulled mine back. I never meant to fall for him, she whispered. He told me he was fluid. He said he hadn't felt this way before. And I didn't. I didn't expect it either. I stared at her. So you lied. You watched me doubt myself. You let me feel stupid for even wondering. I didn't know what to do. Her voice cracked. At first it was just emotional. He understood me in ways you didn't anymore. And I was lonely. You were always working. Don't, I said, sharper than I meant. Don't make this about my schedule. She swallowed hard, eyes glistening. I didn't mean to humiliate you. But you did. We sat in silence. The clock ticked. The rain got heavier. I wanted to tell you, she said. But I didn't know how. And I told myself it wasn't real. That it was just some fantasy, something that would pass. But it didn't pass, I said. No, you stayed with him. She nodded. And used our card to pay for the hotel. That part made her flinch. I think that's when the shame finally hit. Not from the act itself, but from the carelessness. The arrogance. The belief that I'd never notice. Or if I did, I'd accept the lie again. She whispered, I didn't think you'd ever look. I almost didn't. She stared at me for a long moment. Then said, so what happens now? I looked around our home. The photos, the shelves, the half-used candle on the table. All the small, domestic anchors that made us feel like we were safe from the mess outside. But the mess had been inside for a long time. I stood. I don't know what happens to you, Paige, I said. But I know what I need. And what's that? Clarity. I walked to the closet. Pulled out the overnight bag I'd packed earlier. Nothing dramatic. Just the essentials. My toothbrush. A few shirts. The charger she always borrowed and never returned. She didn't stop me. Are you coming back? She asked softly. I turned. Do you want me to? I don't know, she said. Honest. Finally. I don't even know what I want anymore. Then maybe that's your answer. She cried after I left. I could hear it, muffled behind the door as I stood in the hallway of our building. And for a second, I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes, letting myself feel it too. Not anger. Not rage. Just the collapse. It's been months now. I moved into a small place across town. Nothing fancy. Just quiet. I wake up early. I cook for myself. I walk more. Think more. Jordan? He's still around. They posted a photo recently, her birthday dinner. The same table where we once sat. The same smile on her face, now turned toward him. There was a caption beneath it. Real love shows up when you least expect it. And maybe that's true. But so does betrayal. And sometimes, they were the same face. I didn't comment. Didn't reach out. I don't need to. I found something I never knew I was missing. A space where I don't have to question what's real. A mirror I can look into without shame. A truth that no longer needs to be proven. They say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. I don't hate her, but I'm not waiting for her laugh anymore.